What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're taking a look at another horror movie. We've taken a look at a lot of horror movies. And it's only February. Fair. Okay. We're taking a look at Happy Death Day 2. We took a look at Happy Death Day 1 yesterday, and now we're following up with Happy Death Day 2. I'm gonna be honest, I'm extremely disappointed with this franchise. I remember seeing the trailers when they came out, and I was gassed for these movies. They genuinely looked really good. I thought the whole time traveling concept was great, and I was like, yo mum, can we watch this? This looks fucking sick. And she was like, no, I've seen them, they're shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I haven't watched them, and now that I am older, I am wiser, I am my own person, and I can watch movies when I want and however I want. I decided to watch this whilst laid in bed eating cheese straws. I watched this movie while sat in bed eating cheese straws. And I'm a grown adult. I'm a grown-ass man. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So I watched them. And you know what? I'm sorry, Mum. You were right. They're not that great. But without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say. So, Happy Death Day 2U is a 1 hour and 40-minute movie. If it was any longer, I would have cried. And it is a horror sci-fi, thriller sci-fi, which came out in 2019. It has a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4.4 out of 5 on Amazon. You can watch this on Google Play and Amazon Prime. Tree Geldman is the survivor of the time loop in which she was repeatedly murdered by a sadistic killer. However, when she finds herself in the same situation again, she sets out to stop it for good. So how this movie starts out is with our opening guy. However, it's the roommate this time who's in the time loop, and the second time round he goes over and he's like, yo bro, I think I'm tripping. And the girl's like, no, you're not, I've been through this, where's the killer? And they find out about his machine, and you know, the time loop was caused by his machine, not by anything else. So they save him from himself because he came back to stop him doing anything else with the machine, because the machine would fuck everything over. And they decide to turn the machine on instead of stopping him. So he turns it on and he sends her to a different dimension where she's reliving the same day, but slightly different. Her boyfriend is now with her best friend, her killer from before is no longer her killer, and she's still being hunted down. She's also having to off herself every time instead, and her mother's alive in this dimension, so she doesn't want to leave it. But she's trying to help stop the time loop, because whenever she goes to sleep, she'll just wake up in the same day, and that's draining, that's boring, that's bad. And the killer isn't actually after her, it's after her friend, so she doesn't really have to kill herself, I'm gonna be honest. But she does, and there's a massive plot hole here. If the 18th was literally the day before, right, and you lived through that time loop for what you say was about a week, 2 weeks max, you surely will remember living the same day for 7 days, and having the physical effects affect your body. Now they're literally the day after, you're stuck in another time loop, and you literally forget that doing a time loop and killing yourself over and over and over again has an effect on your body. Very, very strange. Because when it happens to her again, she wakes up in hospital and she's like, oh yeah, I knew you were going to say that. And it's like, if you knew, why did you commit to this idea of killing yourself until they could find out what was wrong? She also didn't kill herself in the nicest ways, I'm going to be honest. There is better ways to kill yourself which wouldn't leave so much damage on your body. For one, you don't have to launch yourself out of a plane. For another, you don't have to launch yourself off the top of a church. You don't have to launch yourself off the top of a clock tower. You don't have to launch yourself at the top of a hospital. You could, you know, do what you did the first time. Drink bleach. Actually, don't do that one. That one would also affect your body in bad ways. But that's another one that she did. She dropped electric in the bath with her. The hairdryer went in the bath. Fair. You know, I can think of ways which probably wouldn't affect your body in huge dramatic ways. You know, you could just Not saying that people should do this, I'm just saying in terms of this movie, this would be a better situation. Just slit your wrists, you know? This one wouldn't leave great lasting effect on your body. Maybe it would fuck up your arms, but having no arms and still being able to live is better than having no life. Is all I'm saying. Think about it prospectively. Just saying. The killer is the exact same fucking guy, but this time, instead of her best friend, it is the guy that she was sleeping with, the teacher that she was sleeping with. He's the main villain this time, because his wife found out about her affair with her friend instead of her. She then decides she doesn't want to stay in this dimension because her mum's alive, and she, wants to go back home because that's where she belongs, and she's like, oh, I can't stay here because this isn't my life. So she goes home, and the teacher takes away the thing, so they have to get it back. She saves people in the hospital, and then she goes back, and she wakes up and gives her boyfriend a kiss, and that's where the movie ends. I'm gonna be honest, the deaths were the main part of the trailer. Showing how cool she died in the trailer was really interesting. Showing her jumping out of a plane was cool in the trailer. Alright, she jumped out They added random nudity in here again for one of the deaths. They did that in the first one. They made her walk around campus, like, stark naked. And they did that again here, but she wasn't stark naked. She was just in her, like, bikini. But she jumped out of a plane. There is no fucking reason why she had to do that. Like, she didn't need to be naked to jump out of the plane. She just didn't need to do that. And why was the guy in the plane not questioning why she was naked either? She got all the way up, and she was just naked in the air. Like, well, what the fuck? Also, that was one of the big moments in the trailer, so I expected there to be more lore implication, rather than just one of her one-off deaths that she decided to do. I thought, like, the killer would have chased her up there, or been up on the plane with her and made her jump off, or I don't know. I don't know what I expected from this movie, I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't really horror. Like, there wasn't much of a villain. To be fair, for like a good portion of the movie, it was more just sci-fi and her killing herself. There's no threat there. She's just offing herself over and over and over again. It kind of got sad and not as exciting, like, as the first one. Not that the first one was exciting, I'm going to be honest. The first one got repetitive and boring very quickly. This one didn't have the repetitiveness to it. It just wasn't as interesting. We saw the concept done once before, we're watching it be done again. The whole premise of this movie is, like, repetitive. The whole idea of this movie is repetitive. Having the time loop literally the day after that it happened the first time, and in a different dimension. This movie was doing the multiverse before Marvel, and I'm gonna be honest, it ain't that great. It wasn't that spectacular. Again, like I said, it's not a horror. It's not like a sort of life-death situation that she was in. She just kept offing herself over and over and over again. The killer wasn't even after her at all, because the killer established in one of the scenes it didn't even know who the fuck she was. It killed her because she got in the way the first time. And she just took that as, oh no, I'm being targeted. Oh no, oh pretty old me. Oh, of course it's me. Woe is me. Even though her killer this time was like, I don't know what the fuck you're on about, bitch. So, it just felt repetitive, felt lackluster, and didn't have any real threat to it. I didn't feel like she was in any danger at all. She could have quite easily just slept the day away and nothing would have got her. Like, I don't know what would have been worse, killing yourself or getting killed, because the way she killed herself was still painful as fuck. One of the main reasons she was killing herself was so that she didn't have to die. Like, she didn't have to get killed by this guy, because apparently it was painful when he did it. The shit she did was way over the fucking top. She jumped out of a fucking plane. You know how long it takes to fall from out of a plane? That's like a good 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes from falling out of a plane. Like, that is a long-ass time you're falling without a parachute. You have plenty of time to think about that. You have plenty of time to reincarnate yourself. Also, I don't fucking get it. I don't get why she was killing herself. Their plan was flawed from the get-go. She had to kill herself, right, to restart the day. They had to do codes to see if they could stop the time loop. Alright, the only way to know if they stopped the time loop was if she offed herself. You get what I'm saying? So what if they stopped the time loop and she still offed herself? Then she was fucked. Then she is dead. Then she's no more. And technically, every time she died creates another branching timeline in the multiverse. Alright? Stay with me here. I'm about to do some multiversal lore on you. Each time she dies, each time she kills herself, you get to see a little bit of what happens after she dies. And if that is the case, like with this death where she jumps out the plane, she lands in front of her boyfriend and her best friend kissing, right? Because it's a different timeline, they're together, they're not actually cheating. But we get to see their reactions to this. Now, if they're still having reactions after she dies, that means that's a whole new timeline, that's a whole new world, whole new era, a whole new situation, which the people that lived in that time have to deal with. So when she walked around stark naked, that timeline still exists. There's still people that know she walked around naked and got murdered in the same day. There is still people that think she's an asshole, there's people that think she's nice. Each timeline carries on after she dies. So there's multiple worlds and multiple timelines that she has created just from this one time loop. Because it's not really a loop. Each one keeps going after she dies. So her actions have consequences in these worlds. I got too deep for a really shitty movie, not gonna lie, I went in way too much of a deep dive. This movie in realistic terms is no more than a 5. I personally wouldn't watch this again. I think this would have been a better like action movie than it would have been anything else. Like, these time loop movies, they get boring, they get repetitive, and they get very basic, and it feels like they're spoon feeding us the knowledge and not actually letting us figure anything out for ourselves. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye.